Hello, I'm Ann Simonsen. I'm a nationally board certified health and wellness coach and author, and I work at a lifestyle medical practice called Blue Zones Health here in Southern California. Began with the founder, one of the founding members of the College of Lifestyle Medicine, and so we practice lifestyle medicine in his two offices, and he is now part of the organization Blue Zones Health that is expanding throughout Southern California, and we have nearly 300 physicians, and I'm a health and wellness coach with them. I just got back, was it yesterday? Saturday, today is Monday, from Rancho LaPuerta. It is a drive from my house due south from Riverside, California. Park on this side of the border of the Mexican border, and 6-7 minutes car ride or bus ride or van ride, and we are at this magnificent property, 4,000 acres. We are on a couple thousand, the rest is reserve, and even that is reduced in size for the group that usually is anywhere from 120 to 160 guests. And it is a wellness retreat that was founded in 1940. Well, I was there as a return guest. I went there in 1921, and I've been there 3 times as Chef AJ's sous chef. I've been there twice with my husband, and I was there on my own this time. And Chef AJ asked if I would help her in her classes again, so I got to be the sous chef in her 3 cooking classes there at the ranch. So I experienced this wellness retreat with Chef AJ and the group she had with her this time, because anytime she's there, she has a group. And there were, I believe, 15 of us. And it was magical. So look for my wellness retreat, Rancho LaPuerta with Chef AJ or something like that. And I'll be posting that most likely before I even post this. So why am I doing this and why am I bringing it up? Because we all got a celebration gift. And what were we celebrating? The 85th anniversary. It says it right here. Rancho, this little booklet. Rancho Classics 85th Anniversary Recipes. Celebrate 85 years of culinary tradition. They began completely meatless. Now they offer fish and egg and dairy. But they are basically vegetarian. Well, Chef AJ and I and a number of people go there as strictly vegan, no cheese, no egg, no fish, and we get our meals made beautifully. As a matter of fact, Chef AJ is able to get her SOS free meals for the group or anyone who chooses them, no salt, oil, or sugar. Well, this booklet is sort of the in-between ground of that, and I have pots outside, big like felt pots, 20-quart pots that I grow herbs in, some in the ground, some in the pots. And I was looking through this and I got inspired to do what I'm doing right now, and that is a green goddess dressing, the ranch favorite. It's a ranch favorite, perfect perfect complementary pairing for nearly any green salad, but also it can go on nourish bowls, it can go on grains, it can be used as a green dressing, a green sauce to flavor just about anything, a potato and some broccoli and the green sauce over that, and I could go on and on. So I'm making this even though I have other dressings I love on my kale and arugula and red cabbage and full of vegetable salads, because I have the ingredients. I want to celebrate with the ranch, the book, and I wanted to show you something super simple. So this is one of their favorites, green goddess dressing. And I'm using my Vitamix. Do you see how kind of grayed out that is? I looked that up just a little while ago. It says you can use OxyClean, you can use denture tablets that would be used to clean dentures. You could use vinegar and water. So I'm gonna see what I can do to reduce this. But in the meantime, we're using it. So I went into the garden because the recipe calls for 1 cup of herbs or greens, herbs. And I knew I had cilantro. I have dill. I didn't have dill. That could have been an option. I have green, of course, green, chives, and I have basil, big pot of fresh basil, and something that looks a lot like basil in the way it grows, and that is fresh mint. And so I'm going to put a little of all of that in here. I'm going to put basil, I'm going to put mint, I'm going to put chives and cilantro. I love cilantro. Some people can't eat it, won't eat it because it tastes like soap, and that's actually a sort of biological thing. And it is a real thing. So I'm packing in here cilantro. I'll keep the stems out, not that it would matter. And I'm going to put some basil. And I do want some mint. I think it has a wonderful freshness to it. And I'll just use this much. And then I'm going to use my chives. And oh man, if you grow chives, these are perennials. They just keep coming up every year. And I'm not in a cold area, so they pretty well stay up most of the year. So I'm delighted to put these in now and then have the rest that I'm going to cut into a very thin slice to sprinkle on. Well, we're going to have an Ethiopian stew tonight. That would be pretty on that. And on baked potatoes, over which I do put greens and quite often a vegan cheese sauce. That would be beautiful when you thin slice them, boom, 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 and just gather together the log and then double and double the size of the log so that when you're slicing, you're really getting a lot done with each slice. And then it stays in the refrigerator as long as they're not wet. It stays in the refrigerator covered for, oh gosh, a good part of a week and sometimes longer. So actually, I'm going to put a little bit more because I've got room here. What else do I want to put in? You know what? I am going to put a little bit more of the cilantro in because that almost makes it like a chimichurri. Okay, so I have a cup of greens, really pack them in. And if this comes out too thick, you just add more water. To make it creamy and delicious without using oil, the recommendation was nuts. It could be cashews, it could be pepitas, which are pumpkin seeds, it could be walnuts. And I chose to do, and you'll see on the recipe, their recipe exactly, and then you can decide which of their options you are going to go with. But I have soaked cashews, and I've soaked, it was a half a cup, and I used a quarter cup of each cashews and the pepitas, which are pumpkin seeds. And they have a nice green color. I have a recipe for something called bliss balls. That's dates, and quite often it's coconut and almond meal and other things that you can roll into a ball, nut seeds, roll into a ball, and it's like a nourish ball. Well, I have one that I use for St. Patty's Day, because by grinding up either pistachios or mixing or mashing or using a small blender like a coffee mill, you can mix them up, and either pistachios or the green pumpkin seeds, and then rolling them in it, they look like really cool little St. Patty Day gift. All right, we're throwing in some garlic. The recipe calls for 4 cloves. A clove of chopped garlic is about a teaspoon. Well, this was more than a tablespoon, and I used, and did I want to put all that in? It's going to be really garlicky. Because it called, oh, I know why I'm bringing this up, because it called for 4 cloves of garlic, which would have been about a tablespoon plus a teaspoon, but I only used 2 because these cloves, this garlic head, actually this is even small compared to the 2 that I used, and so I just used 2. I didn't use 4, but they were huge. I'm putting in some lemon juice. It could have been lemon juice or apple cider vinegar. If I use apple cider vinegar, I tend to use less than is called for, because for some reason I'm not crazy about hitting a lot of that flavor wise. And then I have honey here. This is turbolo honey, and I added something to this. One of the great benefits of being at Rancho LaPuerta with relatively few guests, if you consider that, and by the way, every day, all day, 9 to 10, 10 to 11, 11 to 12, and then we break for lunch, 1 to 2, 2 to 3, 3 to 4, and 4 to 5. We can catch a class, and it can be an art class, a meditation class, a sound healing class. I did 3 days of 45-minute heavy weightlifting because I'm working on strengthening my bones. At 74, if I don't use it, I'll lose it, because that's what we do. We start to fade away. And I intend to go to my 80s especially healthy, 90s and even beyond, and so I'm keeping my bones strong any way I can. Well, one of the people, I said, you meet a lot of people, part of her group, Maria, I had met, oh gosh, one of my other times being here, and actually several people I had met like that. Barbara from South Africa comes here just for Chef AJ's groups, and I was part of one of those too. Well, Maria's son makes this hot sauce called the Spicy Shark. That's the name of his brand. And she just gave this to me as a gift. She says, I get home, I turn on your channel, I watch your videos, and it makes me relax. And I thought, oh my gosh, how sweet. That's my mission, to make a difference as it relates to whole food, plant-based, lifestyle as medicine, and living long. That's why, as a matter of fact, I wrote this book when I turned 70. That's almost 5 years ago, and that is Aging Powerfully. Bit of a memoir, but a lot of the precepts of lifestyle as medicine. Well, this particular, the Spicy Shark hot sauces that he makes, isn't even a hot sauce, it's honey. It's honey with a little bit of heat in it. So I even put that in the honey. I could have used a tablespoon of agave or a tablespoon of honey. I used honey with a nice hefty squirt of this. I think this is just going to be fabulous. And I'm going to start with the tablespoon, or with the cup that it recommends. And then I'm going to add more if I need to, but I'm pretty sure I do. I like a looser dressing. I don't like dressings that are really thick unless I'm using it as a veggie dip. And every day, my husband and I begin our dinner with a plate of vegetables, crudités. So I'll have jicama, carrot, sliced, well, I love radishes, so I buy them really big, and I'll slice one radish into, let's say, 3 pieces, and celery, and all kinds of dipping vegetables, especially cauliflower. Love broccoli if there's a dip for it. Well, this would make a great dip. You notice there is no oil. Doesn't mean there's no fat. It's a healthy fat from the nuts, but there is no oil. So let's get this done. Sorry about the noise. Get it going. Here we go. actually what I realized is that I poured about, well, a little bit more than a cup. Just about a cup and a quarter. Oh, this smells heavenly. All right, I am gonna taste it, push it down a little. And quite often, when you use nuts or if you use beans for dressings or sauces, they thicken when they cool in the refrigerator. And let's take a look. Oh, that is so refreshing. That's so good. And it has that tiny bit of heat. It says use salt if you want to. Yes, I'm going to use a little bit of salt. Probably about a half a teaspoon. And that's it. What happens with sauces as well is that the flavors marry when you put them in the refrigerator and give them a little time. So what am I going to do with this? We will use it as a vegetable dip. I have a salad every day. It will be part of my repertoire for that. And I do a lot of nourish bowls. I do a lot of things, grain bowls, where this would be just delicious. In which case, I do hope it thickens a little bit. And I know it will, actually. I love bell jars. There, that's simple. And I have a nice 12-ounce container of it. And I'm going to leave this in a small glass container that we will use for dipping. So that's it. I hope you got something out of this. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have a chance in the future, watch for Chef AJ going to Rancho LaPuerta and consider being part of her group. Take a look at my wellness retreat, Rancho LaPuerta with Chef AJ video, and you'll hear more about the magic of being there, being with a group, and being with Chef AJ. I hope you have a great day, because I know I'm going to. Thanks for watching. Subscribe and share, and again, have a great day.